I never imagined that my own marriage could turn into a countdown against my own life. My wife, the person I had trusted for decades, slowly began showing a side I never expected. It started subtly: misplaced bills, delayed payments, and small manipulations that made me question my own memory. At first, I ignored it, thinking maybe I was overreacting. But soon, the signs became impossible to ignore. One evening, she held my insulin over the sink and laughed as my blood sugar climbed. That moment, I was under constant surveillance and control. My health, my finances, and even my freedom felt like they were slipping away. I began measuring everything: my meals, my injections, my daily activities. Each day became a careful strategy to survive in my own home. Every laugh, every comment, every denied request was a test. She was determined to see how far she could push me. Days passed and the psychological pressure increased. Every small task felt like walking on a tightrope. I knew I couldn't confront her directly yet. I had to be patient, gather evidence, and plan my next move carefully.
The days after that first incident became a routine of constant vigilance. Every injection, every meal, every small action had to be calculated. My blood sugar was no longer just a number. It was a measure of my life, and I had to protect it. Financial control became even more deliberate. What started as small manipulations, late bills, hidden expenses, soon turned into total oversight. She restricted my access to money, controlled medical supplies, and even monitored my communication with friends and family. I felt trapped in a world where every move I made was being watched and evaluated. I began documenting everything meticulously: every missed insulin dose, every manipulation, every threatening comment or laugh. I wrote it all down. These records became my shield, my silent weapon against the constant pressure. Patience and strategy were my only allies. Sleep was difficult. Anxiety filled every quiet moment. But despite the fear and tension, a determination grew within me. I realized that while she tried to control me, I could prepare, survive, and protect myself. Every careful step I took was a small act of resistance and a promise to reclaim my life.
11 days after the worst incidents, the day of reckoning arrived. I walked into the courtroom with certainty, not fear. I had documented everything carefully, and I was ready to let the truth speak. She sat there, the same person who had endangered my life, now crying and pleading, but her tears could not erase the harm she had caused. I presented everything: the medical sabotage, the financial manipulation, the emotional abuse. Every incident, every subtle act of control and threat was laid out clearly. The courtroom was silent as the evidence unfolded. For the first time in weeks, I felt empowered. My fear transformed into testimony, my silence became voice, and my suffering became undeniable proof. This was not about revenge, it was about accountability. In that moment, I reclaimed my health, my dignity, and my life. The control she had tried to exert over me was finally broken, not through anger or confrontation, but through patience, strategy, and truth.
Now, when I look back, I don't dwell on anger or bitterness. I reflect on the lessons this ordeal taught me. Control can hide behind love. Fear can masquerade as care, and even the smallest manipulations can feel life-threatening. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers quietly through patience, evidence, and courage. 11 days of struggle led to a single transformative moment, a day when fear gave way to accountability, manipulation to dignity, and helplessness to empowerment. And sometimes the quietest revenge is simply letting the truth come to light. That is the freedom I finally feel. This is my story, a story of fear, control, survival, and ultimately, justice. A story that proves even in the darkest moments, patience, careful planning, and courage can reclaim your life.